buckle up. I took a break. We're not even halfway through. But like I said, those first few characters outside of PD had rework, so there's more to talk about. Helen, I was going to call her Ravager, because that's just the default path. In my eyes, this should go a bit faster, so. With Helen, she has some interesting stuff and some, like, really bad stuff. So it kind of leads to this, I don't know, like, when you lean into something really hard, she does some really cool things, and if you try and, like, spread her out, or if you try and go for things like Bloodlust, then it gets a bit worse, so. Wicked Hack, damage is okay, gets bonus damage on combo, pretty nice, so just standard hit stuff move, never bad. Iron Swan, really good, because you hit the back line with some solid damage and combo them. This isn't as good as it was in PD1, because she had higher base damage back then, so like hitting a backline unit, especially on Darkest instead of Blood Moon, could sometimes one-tap it, or reliably one-tap it, and now that's not as easy, so it's still solid, like it's still really good hit rank 4. Yup, this is pretty cool on like Carcass, but outside of that, it's a bit harder to justify, because you wind yourself. The stun on combo is nice, but the only time you have like both units up front comboed is like Dragonfly Runaway. You know, it's not super common to get both of them. It's nice when it happens. And the double weak on upgrade is very good. Removing stealth, very niche, but nice when it happens. So this move is not great by any stretch. It's okay. It even gets worse, actually, because I just remembered how Weaken interacts with Ordainment, which is a whole nother topic. But essentially, Weaken is only like minus 10% damage against Ordainment instead of minus 50. And there's a discussion recently. People were trying to explain why it's okay and all that. And all I'm going to say is if strength is plus 50% damage, and it does 50% damage, meanwhile, block reduces damage taken by 50%, and weaken is 50% damage dealt, or less damage dealt, but it can be a higher number because of weird, stupid math. And the fact that weaken cancels strength, that's not okay. It's not. We can blame the token, we can blame the math, we can blame ordainment, we can blame a lot of things. It just shouldn't be. That's all I'll say on the topic. If it bleeds, surprisingly underrated, not an amazing move, but like solid. Pretty good on Carcass because her on-hit damage isn't great unless you start doing some goofy stuff like selfish motivation or I guess idle thought. And again, this just shows how weird tokens and damage scaling work, because even though she can have like 3 weaken tokens, which lowers her damage right here by 33%, she can still boost it by like 100% with something, or get strength, or hit a combo target, right, with Wicked Hack, and do like good damage. It's odd. It's weird. And it's weird, it's counterintuitive, and it shouldn't be. But yeah. I was talking about if it bleeds. This move's okay. Like I said, on Carcass, where if you don't have those ways to boost her on-hit damage, then this is pretty consistent damage with good reach, so it's pretty nice. Not the best, but it works. Toto, very good. Really good, actually. You get Taunt, most stupid broken token in the game, and Clear Winded. The only disadvantage Toto has is if you go from 3 to 2, and she's supposed to be in 1 because you're Ravager pilled, and you immobilize yourself, then it doesn't feel great. So that's where Breakthrough gets better. But otherwise, you can spam it in rank 1 and just lock yourself in there. That's really helpful for certain fights like Boss Baby. But yeah, it's a good move. Really good on Ravager because it clears Winded. Even Berserker, actually, if you do bleed out spam. So, good move. Adrenaline Rush, really, really good. I think it still has the interaction where when you do like a multi-hitting attack, like if you throw a combat item that hits all 4 enemies, or if you use breakthrough that hits, 3 enemies, then you heal 4 or 3 times respectively. That might get removed at some point, probably will when she gets a rework, but until then, really good. The mastery is nice too because you clear all dots, not just bleed, and that can be really helpful late game. So this is a really good move to have, especially after you get it. Bleed out, not as good as it was in DD1, but still solid. Still some pretty good damage output. Like the thing in DD1 was when you swung bleed out, it had a damage boost already. So like the first hit was powered up, the second hit was neutral damage, and then the third hit was weaker. So like the more you hit this, the weaker it got, obviously, but it started out stronger, so the penalty wasn't as bad. And this time it starts out with like normal fair damage. So it doesn't come out of the gate swinging too hard. If you end up getting their or her winded stacked up, at least you can still do some good bleed on hit later. So it's a good move. I don't know if what it could possibly need to be better. I don't know if it needs to be better. Like, it's good enough as is. It's just that Ravager exists, so this doesn't really get ran as much in my eyes. Bloodlust is a meme. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Actually might be good on those Berserker builds. Like, if you spam bleed out, this is your damage, I guess. And then you have execute 1, but if anything's bleeding and you hit it to death's door, it's dead anyway, unless it gets healed randomly. So execute 1 on a target with bleed is pretty not good. So do you even master this? You don't, right? You just leave it like this and you just get the bonus damage. The thing is, it has to offset what you spend the turn doing also. So is 30% damage for the next... Actually, it does. It already does, right? So 30% damage for the next maybe 4 turns, because the first turn is going to tick down, if I understand correctly. That's technically 120% damage. So you come out ahead 20% damage. I don't know. Gotta do more research on the math, but I think where this actually gets good is if you don't... Obviously, it's a winded cure without any mastery, so that's really nice. But if you use this on a bleed comp and she's not doing bleed, so if you're swinging Wicked Hack or Iron Swan or even Howling End and she's not Berserker, probably a lot better, because that's just more damage. I gotta try that. I do have to try that. That sounds really cool. Is it good? I don't know. Is it fun? Probably will be. Breakthrough went from like the worst skill in the game to slightly less bad. Instead of hitting 3... Oh, that's right. I even talked about that in Adrenaline Rush. This doesn't hit 3 targets anymore. This only hits 1. So this doesn't need to wind her, right? Like, it's just so punishing for no reason. It winded her in the first game because it hit 3 targets for pretty okay damage. 3 to 6 damage. Guard Pen, which is not common. Again, that's just guard dogs, anti, and I think shaman, like ignited shaman, and drummer. There might be a couple others, but those are the ones I remember. So guard's not super common, you know. And if it is happening, it's not that hard to get around. Like if someone gets guarded, you just attack something else, right? It's not the end of the world. Its best application is the barricades, because the barricades are really annoying. However, you get around the guard to do a mighty 4 freaking damage, 5 damage. And you wind yourself. The fact that it says can't gain block for 2 rounds, why can't this be can't gain guard for 2 rounds? That would be much better. But, I don't know. We'll see what happens when she gets changed, but this move went from really bad to slightly less bad. Could use some help. Revelry, this is a pretty good move. It competes with Adrenaline Rush as a heal. And Adrenaline Rush just blows it away as a heal. But if you're looking to, like, cure stress, it's good. Obviously, she gets -2 or -3. And then you take 1 off the party, which isn't much, but it helps. Like, as long as they're at 5 stress, then they lose 1. I mean, there could be worse things to do. It doesn't do anything bad besides winding her, but, like, that's whatever. So, Revelry's pretty good. Howling End, this used to be the dumbest move possibly in the game, because it had, like, a 1-turn cooldown, it ignored block, and it didn't move her back, I think. You just keep hitting this thing. Maybe it did move her back. I can't remember correctly. It's been a long time. Even then, though, like, you swing it, you wind yourself, you move back 1, you just toe-to-toe next turn. And, like, throw something else in. So it'd be like, Howling in, toe-to-toe, Wicked Hack, Iron Swan, and then Howling in should be back up, if it's mastered. This move does a lot of damage, it scales very well, and the thing that will always make this move good, compared to other ramp-up damage moves like Burning Stars, Judgments, stuff like that, is you can do this turn 1. That's always been the best thing about it. Like, the damage and all the other stuff it had was always good too, but the fact is you can do this on turn 1. And if it's mastered, or your Ravager, or both, you have a pretty good chance of instantly deleting what it hits. So turn 1, you turn it into a 3v4, you know, with the first hit. And if the rest of your team kills something, it's a 2v4 on turn 2. Like, that's such an advantage. It's better than stunning. You know, because stunning is you deny them an action for a turn, or you can just kill them and they get no actions. So, move's still good. I don't know how you can nerf this anymore without making it garbage, or buff it without breaking it again. So it's... yeah. Ravager, this patch just gives her bonus damage up front, and she can bleed herself. I can't remember if she can resist this or not, because, you know, the game's very clear on telling you what can be resisted and what can't. But she also gets bonus life. Like, this is just the path. She likes to be in rank 1, and then you just spam, like, Iron Swan, Wicked Hack, or Howling End, or both if you want it, and just, like, toe-to-toe in between. And it's just damage, damage, damage. And the other thing people forget is that Helen has a passive ability. Doesn't matter what path she's on. If she goes under Half-Life, she gets 25% bonus damage. If she goes under 25, she gets an additional 25% damage. Meaning, between that and Ravager, she can get up to like plus 75% damage. Much easier because she has extra life. And then you can scale it higher with tokens. You don't even need much. Like a Vuln or a Strength token, it's just destruction, just nuclear bomb going off. So his path's still very stupid and broken. Berserker just gets bleed pen on bleed out, and if it bleeds, it is my biggest hope that when this gets changed, because it will get changed eventually, that bleed out is usable in rank 2 or even 3. A lot of people want if it bleeds in rank 1, but that brings us back to the Darkest Dungeon 1 character of Omni Reach Hellion, who could hit the front really hard, the back really hard, the mid ranks pretty hard too. She could reach everything. And that was kind of a ridiculous playstyle to have. So we don't want that to come back. But if it makes it so she can hit into rank 3 more often, or be used further back because she wants to be up front, obviously, the trade-off is you lose Iron Swan if you put her back, you know. So that's... what would it be? Something like this? You bleed? I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm hoping for it. And then you lose HP and get Deathblow Resist, which this is a myth, so losing HP sucks. The path is fine. It works. It doesn't feel great. And when your other choice is Ravager or even Carcass, probably not going to use it. Alright. Carcass is an interesting one. This is like, when you're new to the game, this is your first time really trying to... or this is one of the first times you can really push your brain for team building. because it's not like a straightforward thing to do. You know, the new path system will be like, these 3 to 5 skills are buffed, use them, see where you have to put the character, and then play it that way. It almost autopilots it for you in a lot of cases. Carcass doesn't right now. So you get block, winded, you get healed when crits. Why is it heal 0 to 2? Isn't it 1 to 2? Because it's not a guaranteed. Come on, man. Can't let her have anything. 0 to 2. Oh well. I think she has gain when hit heals stress too. I can't remember. Anyway. You get a lot of block, you get a lot of damage minus. And then you can heal a lot of stress when she's getting hit in the face. It's actually a pretty good path. What I used to say is it's not really designed for this game because of how the game plays out. But the game is slowly shifting back into a better state of balance where this is not as outlandish as it used to be. She gets a ton of block. She wants to spam Yacht because she gets taunt off of it and you still weaken the enemy. So this path is very, very tanky. It is very hard to kill this character. There are a couple things like the Act 3 boss where she can almost solo it, or at least she used to be able to do that, just because it's so hard to frickin' kill her. But you get Wicked Hack as well. That removes block, and it's got the bonus damage on combos. So there's 2 ways to do this. You either... I shouldn't say 2 ways, but there's a few tools you have at your disposal. You can use either If It Bleeds or Bleed Out, and you do the damage over time because the winded doesn't matter, plus you ramp up winded to give yourself more chance of block. Not bad at all. Or the other major tool you have in your toolkit is to give her some kind of consistent source of damage up, like tokens, trinkets, and just how the math calculates. It gets all screwy wooey, and then she can actually still hit pretty hard. Like, I think a selfish motivation Helen can hit, you know, into the 20s, either crit or non-crit. I can't remember which, but it does stuff. But it's one of those things that you really have to understand the game mechanics to kind of figure out what to do with this character or this path, because it's not as straightforward as you would think. So a lot of people run into trouble using this. This path is one of the questions I get the most when people ask about team building. They go, how do I run Carcass? And, you know, you can run some defensive stuff, pick a couple damage moves that you can use, like bleeds or, you know, just flat damage to make your on hits better. And then just run utility. And then obviously you want to run maybe some strong damage units alongside her just in case things don't work out. Now it's time to rank the Helen. I'm going to say B. I don't know if I put her here last time in that, but she has, like I said, she has a couple of good things to lean into. And then she's pretty cool with that. She's pretty demanding on your team comp. Like, she wants to be in a specific spot depending on what you're doing with her. And she doesn't, like, obviously do everything, so someone kind of has to, like, plug the gaps. Like, if she's up front with Ravager, she can't hit rank 3, so someone has to, like, hit that blind spot for her. Or if she's using Bleed Out, not Bleed Out, I guess Bleed Out, but If It Bleeds 2, where she can't hit rank 4, it's just If It Bleeds, but she can't hit rank 4, then someone has to be able to hit 4 or pull 4, and you deal with it that way, so. Not bad. But over time, she's been getting chipped at, and she's getting, like, weaker and weaker slowly, to the point where she's not as strong as she used to be. Funny too, on release, everyone thought she was the worst character, and then you get all of her shrines done, and then she became, like, hella good. That was always funny to look at, because I thought the same thing at first. Alright. Gestor. Another recent change. I'm sure everyone wants to hear about this man specifically. The big changes were Encore got the bleed effect that Mezzo used to have, and I think And then Finale changed in terms of it's slightly weaker on damage scaling. It's not plus 100% damage anymore. And it got the stress heal and killing blow. So you got a couple small changes there. And then the way his paths work outside of Mezzo, Intermezzo, is a lot different as well. So going through the base kit, Razor's Wit, super good. People don't use this enough because there's a lot of other cool options. Fade to Black, probably one of the strongest moves he has, but again, no one uses it that much. Like, the way we played Jester back in the day used to just be Wit and Fade spam. And it was just combo, 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 dodge, blind, dodge, blind. You know, a lot of good stuff there. Slice Off is a solid move, but it kind of got forgotten. Like, I don't think anything buffs this at all in terms of the paths or alters how it works, so it's just this. The damage is okay, and it Vaultons on upgrades, so a pretty good mastery target late game. Just wish it had more help somewhere. I wish it changed in a path, but maybe it doesn't need to. Ballad. Forward 2? Was it always forward 2 or was it forward 1? Oh, upgrades forward 2. I'm gonna have to check the notes. I can't remember. I thought it was always forward 1, but it shows what I know. And you get the crit chance alongside the strength. So you get strength and then a chance of 1 extra strength or crit when mastered. That's pretty good. Especially the forward 2, because you can keep like Leper up front. Not worry about it. You can also hit the rank 1 person with it, if I'm reading this correctly, because it has the green circle. So they don't even have to move forward. They don't have to be in the back. You just hit them anyway and give them buffs. That's interesting. Inspiring Tune, really good stress heal. Just solid. -3 is actually pretty huge, because going down to 2 stress is a very safe area. Being at 3, you can get like a random stress go up to 4, and that's when all the stupid stuff starts happening. Like people yell at each other, you know, get the negative barks at 4 stress. Harvest is fine. Combo's inconsistent, but hits 2 targets, so pretty good in terms of like damage and utility. Finale got slightly nerfed in terms of it doesn't, you know, do 100% damage on combo, so it's not like turn 1, weakening curse, Finale, it dies. You know, this is another nuke that you can throw out on turn 1 like Howling End, but it takes more thought and more effort than Howling End. Although this got Execute 1 on Wanderer. Execute 1 is pretty good when you don't do damage over time, and it's a move that can hit as hard as this one. It is not unusual to be loved by anyone. No, I'm kidding. If you get, you know, a crit or a strength, or if you have strength and then you crit just naturally, or if the enemy has Vuln in combo, for instance, this can, you know, hit into the 30s with like minimal effort. So it can put out some damage. It can snipe some kills very easily. Solo, this was always a pretty good move, and it actually got better in a lot of cases. Play Out still has the block and then the combo remove, so that's fine. I think Ballad changed where he can use it in 4. He doesn't have to be in 1 or whatever it used to be. When he was Play Out, he could use it in 1. I can't remember, but they made his songs more consistent. You can just stuff them in the back and keep hitting them. Encore got a nerf, but it's still arguably the best move in the game because it can become any move in the game. That's always been the thing with it. And, you know, the bleed is kind of punishing, but you're obviously not going to hit this when someone is at any risk of dying immediately after. The thing is, too, since it's an extra action, the damage over time won't tick on someone if they already have it. So if someone's at death's door, they can heal either through passing or items or whatever. You can encore them and then heal them, but then you are stuck with the bleed potentially. Echoing March is alright, but gets better on Mezzo. Like, there's some enemies this just decimates, and some enemies that just don't give a crap. Like, you pull them up front and they go, haha, I have another stupid move that I hit you with anyway. Virtuoso went through a lot of changes here. So this is the Encore path, where Encore is no longer an extra action. So to get Ballad gives you, like, the whole path gives you these next encore effects where when you press this turn or this button, every effect that you've been stacking up goes off at the same time on the party. So that's the basis behind it. Like, if you see all these next encore things, that's what it's talking about. And the moves function normally. Like, if you take off the next encore thing, Ballad is the same. It's forward. Actually, it doesn't get the forward 2 on upgrade, but you get the 1 strength, chance for a strength or crit. And then you can do that to the party afterwards. And Inspiring Tune gives stress res on encore, or if they're high stress, like super high stress, they get stress immunity. I didn't think they'd bring that back, because Virtuoso before had random stress immunity. You just throw it at someone, you know, every other turn or something, and give them stress immunity. And now you still get it, but it's a bit different. Next encore gives you 33% stress res. That's really good too. Like, you're probably hitting this a lot. So between like these two, this already makes encore really good. And then Finale stress heals when it kills something, but it doesn't get to execute anymore. It's got a cooldown, I believe. I don't know if the other one has a cooldown. Oh, it does. It's just Soloist has like the use limit. That's what it is. Alright. And then there's Play Out. So, same effect, you cure all combo. This is really good for like Act 4. You can set it up. I say it's good for Act 4, but then like it just happened. The whole team gets comboed again next turn anyway. Yes. Alright. This is not as high impact as Ballad, but because it doesn't give everyone block plus. I don't know why they couldn't do that. Like, this one lets everyone get a crit. Was it just too much to let everyone get block plus? I don't know. Yeah, Play Out did not win in this head-to-head matchup. Yeah, Finale, as I said, cures stress when it kills stuff. And then Solo. So next encore takes a token off the party, a negative token, upgraded, it's guaranteed. And it's only forward 2, interesting. But the target has to be comboed for you to hit this, which is odd. You think it's your own party, but it shows the blue pips, meaning that you have to hit the enemy team. So someone has to have combo. But when it's mastered too, it gets a bit better because it refreshes the combo. It doesn't just take it. So unmastered, kind of whatever. Like, a random negative token isn't really anything. You know, it... Like, if they get weakened, it doesn't do anything. If they're ordained, you get Vaulton. You know, that's cool. But yeah, there's not too much to look forward to with that. At least from what I can see. And then, like I said, Encore, you get all these buffs when you hit it. And then Echoing March goes from pulling something to pushing it. This can also be good, because, you know, disrupting the enemy team can be really nice, and sometimes you keep shoving that bandit to, like, you know, rank 4 or 3, then you don't get hit with finishing blow. So there's some usage there. That was only 2 paths. Soloist used to be home of the massive damage and bleed chance, but now that is gone. So everything buffs up Finale. So a lot like how Encore ramped up on Virtuoso, now we're ramping up Finale instead to do just random, well, not random, but like targeted extra effects. These effects are a bit better in some cases than the Virtuoso Encore. So we'll just look at the differences. So with Ballad, your next Finale ignores blind, and then if it's mastered, it ignores dodge too. So that can be pretty nice. And then obviously you get the chance of like crit tokens. I think he can use it on himself too. So that's really good. Let's see. Harvest. Harvest changes to this weird, like, heal when bleeding thing. It's still got the combo. It does no damage over time on its own, so someone else has to bleed the target. But also when he hits Finale, it heals him. Usually Jester doesn't need the healing too much. Especially I think with how Solo works, but it's still good to have. It's never bad to have extra healing. Then Finale we talked about. You can use it 3 times instead of like every couple turns. So you can just like, if you really wanted to, you could rapid fire this thing. Like you can blow up the big threat and then push them back up and then blow up something else, you know, and just keep going like that. Solo. That's right. This has the dodge thing. That's right. Probably want to master this. Cooldown 2. You go forward 3. You can even use it in rank 2. And he gets dodge and taunt. It's like, well, why do I want dodge and taunt? I'm glad you asked. Gain 1 missed. Melee skills. +1 damage. I think this, yeah, up to 3 times. So all these hits get +3 damage. And this is another way you can actually play Soloist. You can do the dodge tank thing, which is something people did in DD1 with Solo, which was fun. And then you could just leave your melee skills on. And then just hit these like +3 damage for the rest of the fight. Not bad. And when you use Finale, that's when it cashes out everything. And you lose all the buffs. So, Solo, pretty cool in terms of like what this passive has. Layouts. Baseline ignores guard. Doesn't seem that great. For again, reasons we talked about with guard. And Finale ignoring block on Master is much better. So, again, playout kind of loses in terms of the order of skills or the order of buffs. And then what else is there? Encore restores last Finale buffs. So if you have all of this stuff charged up, which I think lasts for 3 turns, I can't remember. Then after you hit Finale, you can give yourself all of it back, especially because this is back 2. So if you go to rank 1, you hit Finale, you can push yourself back into rank 2 and Finale again. But you do get these debuffs. And then March doesn't change. And finally, it's Intermezzo. A path that was kind of a meme before. You bled your team doing stuff. And like the whole theme of it was, you know, the music is so just strong, people start bleeding out of their ears. Which sounds cool on paper. In practice, it's just frustrating. Because no one likes the fact that a cultist bleeds people when healing. No one's gonna like getting bled when buffing. Especially because with the cultist, there was a chance of happening. With Mezzo, it's a guaranteed outcome, at least to try and apply it. This path has some really cool stuff, but you're always dealing with the bleed downside, so it's not like you can just keep spamming these super buffs. Even then, they can be worth it, so let's take a look. Start with Ballad. So instead of the baseline, 100 strength and then nothing else, and then upgraded, you get like 85 strength or chance of strength token, and then 15 crit. You get a couple more things, which can be really nice. So you have obviously the chance to bleed yourself, and also you get the extra tokens without mastering, which is nice too. So it's not just 1 token, move them. It's 1 token, chance of other tokens. So it's really efficient in terms of buffing. And getting the speed tokens pretty nice. Getting crit tokens obviously good. Getting a strength tokens nice for most heroes. And then when it's upgraded, you have a chance of getting them strength. You're guaranteed to give them the strength, or crit I should say. You're guaranteed to give them strength, chance of crit, and then chance of extra strength, chance of another crit, chance of speed, or chance of extra action. Does this justify the 6-point bleed? It might. Like, there's no cooldown on this, though, so it gets kind of scary. And the upsides are pretty nice, though. So, like, if you get... Because Mastered, you have a chance of getting, like, 2 strength and a crit, or 1 strength, 1 crit, and 1 speed, or obviously the jackpot, which is what people like about this, the gambling aspect, is You might hit all of it. You might hit the SSR summon in the Summer Beach skin, and you might get the strength, the crit, and then the extra turn, and then you just blow something the hell up. There's some fun moments with this, but it's one of those issues I said before where in Darkest Dungeon, since there's so much variance, being consistent usually is a great strategy. This is anything but consistent. I mean, to an extent. Like, you're gonna get these tokens, but your chance of getting other stuff is kind of hard to plan around, so you're really just rolling dice, hoping for the best, and hoping that you're not fighting something that's gonna crit your ass for 25 and kill you with your own bleed. Echoing March does the pull and bleed when moving thing again, which is really something cool. I'm glad they kept this. So it doesn't do anything else. You hit the enemy with this, bleeds them, they pull forward every turn and keep bleeding. So this is some pretty good disruption plus damage over time. There are a couple enemies that really hate getting hit by this, like Fishmonger. Urchin's another one. So there's some enemies that this just annihilates, and it's really nice when it happens. Herald is another one. Finale doesn't have any like various buff synergy in terms of like, you know, you ramp it up like you do on the other paths, or at least Soloist. And Finale just gives you bonus damage on combo, and then another bonus damage if they are bleeding. So this goes back to old Finale where it's just plus 100% damage. If you death store them, they die to bleed, most likely, and that's helpful. Solo. This is another reason why the solo Finale combo is actually pretty good. This might be the solo path, or the Finale path, honestly. Like, Solos gets all this stuff to buff Finale. And, you know, you have to, like, plan around it, do a bunch of support stuff. Whatever. That's lame. If you want brain off Finale, you just solo, you combo that dude, you bleed him as well. And then you Finale with all your bonus damage, and then you kill them with bleed. Very nice. Playouts. Again, got the short end of the stick here. Like, you get block guaranteed, and then block plus, or dodge. It's a pretty good chance of dodge at least, and then you get the speed. Or chance of healing all of your HP. You know, obviously very cool if this goes off. But the issue with this is, like, if you're trying to protect someone, you don't know what defenses you're going to get. You get one block plus. You might get another block. You might get dodge. But if they're already near death's door, you don't want to bleed them either. So you can do that. You can give them speed, so if something happens, like if you get, I don't know, 2 blocks and they get hit or whatever, you're bleeding, and then you go first and just drop dead. That's annoying. That's a fringe scenario, by the way. It's not like something that's guaranteed to happen every single time. Or you can heal them. You might not need the heal at the time either. Compared to Ballad, where all of these are good. You know, any damage dealer wants the strength in most cases. The crit's always good. The speed's always good because you're being offensive. And then extra action always good because that lets plays happen. And then you have regular Encore too, which is nice. But yeah, Playout kind of got the short end again. So, a bit unfortunate. Not to say it's bad, not to say it's unusable, but in terms of like ease of use, Ballad much easier to get cohesion out of than Playouts. And then, let's see. Inspiring Tune. I kind of have an issue with this. Just because obviously it's got a cooldown. It can hit the whole party. But like, Raucous Revelry is not known as an amazing party stress heal. Because it only heals 1 stress. Bolster Unmastered heals 1 stress on 2 people. Also not amazing. So healing 1 stress on people is kind of whatever, because that's going to be the average result. What is nice, though, is that if they are bleeding, you can heal 1 stress without any threshold. That gets better. And then upgraded, I think I just noticed like a fatal flaw here. baseline, they have to have 5 stress, and if they're bleeding, you heal an extra one. That's kind of ass. And then upgraded, you can heal them if they're bleeding, regardless of stress. And that's better. So you sit there and just bleed your team to death, you can start, you know, stress healing frequently, which is pretty nice. But the reason this move has issues is because a lot of times people at high stress are either just getting pummeled, focus fired. They already have a lot of stress, so they might melt down, you know, a turn after if stuff goes wrong. And it's the fact that bosses, like, hit the entire party in some cases, or hit multiple units all the time, which is very frequent. And they do a lot of damage. So they're sitting here stressing out your party, doing a ton of damage, and then you bleed everyone. And you're just kind of helping the boss kill your team. Like, do I want to hit this on Dreaming General when he stressed out my whole party? No, because he can just hit my ass for 20. And then I'm just dead anyway. I don't know. There's a lot of, you know, just random examples I can pull up. Nothing's really conclusive, but just how it works, it's not super high impact, and the downside is somewhat threatening, you know, because this is a healing move. You want to use this when people are in trouble. What you want to not do when people are in trouble is hurt them further. This is why we talk about weird reconstruction being really bad. Healing people at death's door with it is usually not ideal unless you were just completely desperate. And this kind of follows the same thing. But in terms of like the buffs, Ballad comes out pretty good. Play out kind of gets shafted. Solo's really good. Into Finale. This might be the best Finale, honestly, because in terms of like it's either the best or the second best. Like Solos is still pretty good. Because you get the ignoring effects, you know, ignore blind, ignore dodge, ignore block. I don't know if it ignores weaken, does it? Wait, what? No! It freaking doesn't! Why can't I ignore weak? I guess you can give yourself strength, but like that's it. Oh well. Anyway. So, yeah, Jester came out kind of weird after all that. But what I do like is that the Wanderer paths for Jester and Man-at-Arms specifically, their other paths get kind of complicated sometimes, but the Wanderer versions are still simple, and I like that. I think that's really good for newer players that, you know, don't have a ton of time to dump into the game, don't have every unlock. You know, Wanderer's still a straightforward, and I say simplistic, but not as a negative. It's just, it's nice. It's nice when things are straightforward, you know, and you still have that option. But with all of that said, Jester is now A tier. It's not like Man-at-Arms where he got a ton of buffs, and like, in terms of like fixing his weaker, broken stuff, Jester just got a couple nerfs. And he got a lot of intricate combos. But the issue with having intricate combos is that they're more prone to disruption and they're weaker on faster fights. So if you're doing like a road fight or a normal fight, no boss fights, those usually go like 3, 4, 5 turns at the most. Unless something went abysmally wrong, then it can go longer. But most normal fights average 4 turns. Not everything might be dead at 4 turns, but you're in such a strong position at turn 4 that it doesn't matter. So for the short fight, Jester arguably got worse because he bleeds with Encore just baseline now. His other things like Finale or Encore, you know, for the other paths, requires some buildup. Mezzo's actually okay for the shorter fights because the buffs are just instant, you know, and it's more fast-paced, so that's pretty nice. And obviously you can shorten the window. You can still do like one move into Finale Right, you can still solo finale on like Mezzo, or do like one or two things and then encore or finale on the other paths. That's still an option. Is it worth it in most cases? I guess we'll see. Right now, some of it doesn't feel like it, but time will tell. So those are all the heavy rework characters until Vestal and Binding Blade characters, the DLC. Hopefully these go faster. Although I'm not too worried on time. I don't know why I keep thinking about it. It's more my own stamina. It is difficult to speak in the YouTube presence voice for a long period. This isn't casual conversation. This is keynote speaking. All right. Have some respect. But yeah, with Leper. Hasn't got a rework yet, so Chop. Let's start with the combat start, actually. This passive is ass. So he has a chance of starting combat with 1 or even 2 blinds. He starts with 2 blinds, congratulations, you either hit reflection or you just suffer if you don't have combo spammers. That passive would just go. Like if that passive left or went to a different path, that would be okay. But it's still here. Chop does some okay damage, but it's balanced around the fact that you're supposed to miss half the time and then re-blind yourself. And the effective damage comes out to like 3 to 6 and 3 to 8. I don't know. Again, if you have combo spamming, it's okay. That is part of the game, is team synergy, but if you're just looking at it at face value, Chop is not amazing. Purge is solid overall. You get Corpse Clear, which is always good to have, and then Master gives combo. The knockback's okay, but if you like do the knockback and remove corpses, they might not go back 3, they might go back, 2, 1, or 0. But the other effects are still good. Withstand, pretty solid ability. His resistances, by and large, are not great. So he kind of wants to hit this sometimes if he's like tanking bosses. And it's okay. It's solid. Like there's nothing wrong with it. So maybe I shouldn't be as critical as I am right now. It's fine. Solemnity. Really good move. Can heal a ton of life and some stress. Don't have to be low health to heal the stress. Really good move to hit the last like 2 turns of battle. Reflection, not great. Unmastered, okay mastered. And you really want this. It's just, if you start double blind, this is when you hit this. Otherwise, really only to get rid of combo. And if you want to get rid of blind on yourself, then just deal with, if it's just 1 blind, just swing. Just swing bash. Purge, intimidate, just swing instead. It's more efficient. You have a better upside. You is another one that could be a little bit better. Again, we have to see what happens in the reworks. The damage is pretty solid overall. I think Reap just blows this away though. Like if we look at Ray here. Wait, that's a path. Hold on. No, it is Wander. What the? Okay, so like we're in a world where it's 4 to 5 or 5 to 7, and you debuff healing, which is whatever. And I mean, it helps, but it's whatever still. And then if you're comboed, they get healed. But just look at the numbers: 4 to 5, guaranteed every turn. Just 3 to 7, half the time. Well, not even half the time. It's 3 to 7. If you're blind, you might miss. And, like, this should put... Okay. These 2 moves together should put into perspective how out of balance some of these characters are. Leper. 5 crit, 4 to 9 damage, mastered Hue. Ignores blind, still blinds himself. Crusader. 5 to 7 mastered. Almost the same as 4 to 9. It's a tighter damage range. It's more consistent. So it's on average like 6 damage compared to about 6.5, 7 with 4 to 9. And you don't punish yourself with blind, and you don't consume combo to make sure you hit. I think there is one nice thing about this, where if one target's comboed, I think it's guaranteed to hit both. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's how it is. So if that is the case, that makes it a bit better. Revenge, not a great move. Just consistent strength gain, but then you vuln yourself for like some freaking reason, I guess. The upgraded version's okay because you get a chance to crit. So, in your move weaken, but really you're just kind of crit fishing when you hit revenge. So it's not great. You can use it in rank 4. That's cool. Intimidate, pretty solid move. Don't really need the mastery unless you do Sluice. Then it's really good to have. But stealth isn't too prevalent right now. You taunt yourself, which can be helpful, and you throw out weaken tokens, which, as I've said multiple times, does almost nothing against ordainment. But on bosses, it's pretty good. So if you hit, because bosses aren't ordained, so if you hit them with weaken, then you actually mitigate some serious damage. Ruin, people get confused. They're like, why does it bleed him when it's upgraded? It's to proc itself. So whenever he gets hit, he gets bonus damage for 3 turns. And if he's bleeding, he gets another proc. So it's like guaranteed to get, 20% damage a couple times. And then if he gets hit, he gets even more. So Ruin is interesting. It's pretty good for, it's obviously good for bosses. It's even pretty solid in road battles because, you hit this, he might get hit 4 times, in like 2 turns and just ramp it up. So Ruin's pretty good. Not the easiest to use. It seems easy to use, and it can do good things, so I like Ruin. Break is a tough one. Like, it's got some okay upsides. It still blinds him for some reason. It ignores blind on combo. And in some cases, it's better than Chop. Like, if you swing into a block, with Chop mastered, it's 3 to 8. Swing into a block, it's 4 to 10. Everything he has is 5 crit for some reason, so... I don't know. It's not great. But it's like, okay. So it's kind of a tough one. I imagine when he gets a rework that this will probably change dramatically. Maybe. And do some other stuff. It'll probably be the same on Wanderer, but it'll change other ways. Like denying defensive tokens, so I guess we'll wait for that. Bash, the most underrated skill this character has because it doesn't blind him. It also immobilizes him regardless of hitting. Very good to have in certain fights. And if he does hit the target, they are immobilized. They're dazed, so they stay immobilized until next turn if both stick. Like the end of next turn. And then on upgrade, it combos, which can help him or the team. So Bash is just a really, really efficient move. Plus 3 to 5 damage is respectable. So use Bash. More people need to use Bash. In terms of the paths, Tempest is solid. Just because debuff res is helpful. Disease immunity almost. 95 is the cap. So that's really nice to have. Minus HP can kind of suck, but he still has 40. Like, you're going from 52 to 40. That is a pretty big cut. But, 40 is still more than most of the cast. Well, some of the cast. They're, like, people like Ray, Vessel get to 40 as well. Dismas too? Okay, so it's not as strong as I originally... Oh, 35, never mind. Yeah. It's not the end of the world getting minus quarter life. And then minus speed, he's already slow as hell anyway. So who cares? You can even argue it's a buff in some cases, because he's already slow. And this lets everyone else clear the way of dodge tokens, or set up a combo for him, or buff him. And then he hits. So pretty solid. Poet, this is the closest thing to Wanderer Plus we get. Which is a joke we always use, talking about when paths just like outclass Wanderer. Like just 1-to-1, everything's just better. You do lose some damage on some of these, but like, you're always hitting 6 anyway, I joke. You know, the hue damage is kind of whatever. The chop is whatever in terms of damage. It's all still helpful. Purge. Okay, the reason it lists all these is because it lowers their damage. So that's like description bloat, which is an unfortunate thing of the old paths being on the new system. So really all this thing does is it gives you these two resistances, which by the way, Leper's base move resist is 20. That is a crime. And then it goes up to 30. Still a crime. Give this man 50 or 60, please. He had the most in the first game. He should have the most in the second game. Yeah. And then you get Salim, which heals just more. Instead of 33 to 50, it's 50 to 75. That's pretty nice. So this is very straightforward. And people talk about using Ruin on Poet. Not a bad call, honestly. Monarch is not as good as it could be. Because if you're not fighting cultists, which are cosmic enemies, or I guess Shambler, or mountain bosses, those are all cosmic, then you essentially just have minus 30% max HP, and then your damage on chop gets gutted. Like, do you see this? You see this, right? Look at the damage range. 1 to 7? 1 to 11. Plus 7 damage when target's cosmic. Like, I don't care if this can still potentially hit for like 6 after a freaking mastery point. Even without it, like it's just, you have this big dude with a massive broken sword that's probably blunt. He just brute forces his way through things. He's huge. Someone, when they made his armor, chiseled the abs into it to show he was strong, or it was just a solid sheet of metal and then he just like flexes into it and creates this. And you're telling me this mofo can hit 1? He needs a rework so bad for Monarch specifically. Like that, oh my god. And like Tempest, oh, it's bad because of the HP cut. This is higher. You get Purge, which vulns them when you hit. Purge and Intimidate vuln on hit alongside what they normally do. So Vaulton combo is a nice combo. You know, no pun intended or whatever, like having them together. Intimidate is really good on this path because you get the double weaken alongside the vuln. So even though weaken's not the best thing to have, you do vuln a target and you can pick anything on the field. So you can really just chip in extra damage and help your damage dealers by giving a target vulnerable. This can make some kills that aren't normally possible become possible. And it gives Leper reach, which he doesn't have. Which he already... Intimidate has reach on every path, but it's just nice to have it on this too. When you're in battle with cosmic enemies, you get 2 extra speed. Nice to have. The 50 HP and the 30 exist together. So it's only plus 20% max HP. So he'll have 52 plus 20%. It's like an extra 11, something like that. So he'll go up to like 63. And that's not bad, but that's, again, conditional. And then you get 7 on the chop. So it's like 8 to 14, 8 to 18. Which comes out to like plus 2 damage compared to Wanderer. Oh my god. It's funny because this path is so polarizing. It sucks when you're not against cosmic enemies. People will be like, oh, you can spam Intimidate, that's really good. Yeah, but you also taunt yourself with 36 life and you just blow up. There's also no guarantee that the target you weaken is the target that hits you. So you like weaken one pillager or something, and then you get hit by front mortar by the other or something like that. It's just... ugh. However, when you go into a mountain fight, like when you get to the mountain, if you have 32 gold, you can swap to Monarch, which is like the best application of it. And then you have a powerhouse for the last half of the game, or last like section. And that's good. Like the buffs are good. Because it's all buffs when you're against cosmic enemies. However, until that point, it's very bad. Like, you are better off running anything else and then swapping to Monarch. If you run it the entire time, it's going to be a struggle because there's really no upside outside of, like, the Volts. That's all you get. So, Lepore. Fan favorite, very cool character. He has a plushie that's coming out. I bought a couple. Really excited. And probably has one of the coolest backstories. Just an amazing character overall. Let's see. Just because as time goes on, like, he really needs the rework. As time goes on, the combat start blind thing is just frustrating. There's nothing fun about it. Like, this is where the idea of, like, being thematic and then being fun just, like, butt heads. And there should never be a time where being thematic is more important than being fun. Because at the end of the day, this is a video game. I don't care how thematic it is for someone with leprosy, which causes blindness to my knowledge, has to start every turn or every fight by doing something inefficient. And if he has the audacity to do his slightly above average damage and hit chop, he's punished. He is freaking punished for it. And then he has to spend another turn offsetting it or just gambling. It's tragic. It is tragic. Please help this man. Giving him 50 or 60% move res as a start can be done with a couple keystrokes in Excel. It would be nice. There's all these rework mods for heroes on the workshop. No one has posted Leper getting more move resist. That's how much no one thinks about it. Alright, who's next? Cultist. I love this character. Alright. Don't get twisted. It's not like someone I like goes higher on the tier list. Grave Robber's not S. I don't really care too much for Man-at-Arms. He's S. I like Leper. He's C. So if I put a Cultist S+, I make a new tier. Don't think it's favoritism. Alright? Anyway. Sacrificial Stab, aka Sack Stab. Okay damage. Okay crit. Actually pretty good crit. And if they are comboed, you get unchecked power. And if you kill them on mastery, it has execute. And you get more unchecked power, henceforth being called up. Up tokens. Artillery. Really good backline cleave, does solid damage. Great partner for Acid Rain, Plague Grenade, or Banneret Zealous Accusation, because those all hit the back. You have 2 up tokens, it stuns. There's no... Like, it's out of nowhere. Because it's like, oh, 3 to 6, okay damage, chance of combo. Boom, stun! I was surprised too. So, pretty solid move overall. Definitely worth spamming. Weakening Curse. Got much better after the update. So, it has a cooldown, but it gives them combo. Alongside 2 weak, the combo is what you're looking for. This is, like, if it's unmastered, this is a really good starter, like a turn 1 move. You have someone like Leper, Jester, I guess, for turn 2. Just Hellion with Wicked Hack, Grave Robber with her mythical non-existent crit bonus, Highwayman stun off pistol shot. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with just an instant combo token. Reynald, stunning blow. Turn 1, Occultist is faster, so he should go first. Combo, Reynald, stun, instantly. There's a lot of good stuff with this. And then Mastered, it gets better. Because now you can get rid of crit, because crit's really annoying to get rid of. It's very hard to. Weird Reconstruction, still a meme. Just an absolute meme, an absolute menace. This can crit 0, which it was such a bad thing. I think they took it out of DD1, and now you can still do it in this game. This move is never not going to be a meme. You either need to... I mean, the only application where it's like super good is if you stack a bunch of plus healing, because it increases the radius, diameter, the range, I should say, between 0 and the max. You know, if you have a bunch of bonus healing, instead of being like 0 to 20 or something, it'd be like 0 to 36. That's a lot more chances to do something good. Unless it's always percentage based and not number based. You know, it's either 0 to 100% and then does its goofy ass rounding, which is probably more problematic, and I hope that's not the case. Really, the only thing this needs after what it has, you can use it from anywhere, which is nice. It's just, I wish the bleed was 1 point lower. 2 bleed unmastered, 1 bleed mastered. It's still haha funny occultist killed my character, but it's just less frustrating. Again, this is like, oh, it's thematic, it's unpredictable. And again, like, thematic is getting kind of in the way of fun. Demon's Pull is a really good move. Does the range change? Okay. I was like, I've just not been noticing because the pips disappear, but no, it's always been that way. This is another free source of combo and a pull, so this is really good for frontliners. So if you want to pull something in the back, disrupt it. So like Demon's Pull, Stunning Blow. Really good way to waste a couple turns off an enemy while doing damage. So this enables a lot of fun combos. It also stuns with 2 up, and you can use that out of rank 2. And a corpse clears. It's a very loaded move. Vaulton Hex, really good unmastered, even better mastered. Just ignores dodge. Dodge is pretty common. It's kind of annoying too. So you have like fanatics get dodge, you have spiders get dodge, cherubs, pigs, a lot of things get dodge. And then if you're worried about block, you still get 2 vuln to get rid of the block. Or when it's mastered, you get rid of the block anyway. And then this becomes a powerhouse. It's just all defenses are gone. I guarantee to hit unless I'm blinded, all defenses removed. Vulnerable on top. Very strong. Binding Shadows is okay. You can use that at rank 4, which is nice. The combo lower debuff res is honestly whatever. It's such a minuscule amount to spend a combo token on that I actively avoid this in most cases. Malediction got a huge buff when Occultist got changed almost a year ago. It was last September. And now it lasts rounds instead of turns, which means it has a higher chance to, or it guarantees to ramp up more damage. Because it used to be bad against multi-action enemies because they burned through the debuff fast because it was turns. Now it's rounds, meaning that if they have multiple turns, they actually stack up more damage. So as I was saying before, this is a really good enabler for cause of death. And the damage coming out of this is nuts, because if a dot goes off, it procs itself. So it has recursion or whatever the word is. And then if you're fighting a boss, everyone's hitting the same target. They're just ramping up. There's no use limit. You can use it from anywhere. It's insane. Use this move. Anamnesis only super good on Aspirant, I think he gets some slight buffing. Requires Performer 2 unchecked power. Does it say that? Yeah, okay. They change some of these tooltips sometimes, and it's hard to keep track, but this is pretty much Hound's Harry from DD1, but it's a much cooler version. Although you can't do a spin on the name and call it Hound's Carry, as I like to do. But that's a lot of bleed. And it hits for an okay amount. It gets rid of tokens, which is always an okay thing. And then the bleed's pretty massive. The only issue with Anamnesis is that it takes time to get it ready, because you have to charge the unchecked power. And in doing so, you might kill enemies before that. If this hits 3 enemies, it's still pretty good. If this hits 2, kind of feels like a waste. If it hits 1, it's a waste of time. So let's move on Aspirant. Like, what happens here? It gets more damage. Okay, yeah, I guess, yeah, this is way better. So on Aspirant, it gets bonus damage, and that helps it with scaling. Crits get better, strength gets better, stuff like that. Vuln gets better. But until then, not worth using too much. Burning Stars, though, really good move. Doesn't matter what path. You can throw this on on Aspirant. Instead of spending up on Anamnesis, you can just throw this. It ignores block, that's huge. Combos, that's great. Does some really good damage at a pretty good crit rate. This is a very strong move. Plus, since it has such high base damage, it has more scaling. So it's got more use out of strength. It does more damage off a crit, you know, than just a regular hit, like Sacrificial Stab. Chaotic Offering is a mess. He takes damage for using it. He also gives himself guaranteed unchecked power, which can burn him, and he takes more damage. And then it says random side effect. So as always, because tooltips are super detailed and helpful and all that, because we live in a world where Jester's got the Mezzo tooltip, you know, and you just see this crap, just this. We have a cultist with random side effect. This can be a few things. This can be like a negative token, like I think weak or vulnerable blind. There's a whole table for this. It can move him forward, it can move him backward, so it can disrupt what you're trying to do. It can stun him for some hellish reason. The nice part is none of those are guaranteed. The most common outcome is you hit this and you just take damage. So it's not bad. It's not a bad thing to do. You just have to be ready. You know, you have to be ready for your burning stars to get screwed because unchecked or chaotic offering throws them into rank 1. That can happen. It's not fun when it happens either. So again, more thematic and fun, and I'm really leaning on that today, aren't I? So it's okay. It's guaranteed unchecked power. And again, anything that makes strategies consistent is usually pretty good. It's not the best move, but it's passable. Ritualist is my favorite path. This one gives him bonus healing and debuff penetration. And then he gets the turn start Vuln, which is goofy, but it works. So Weird now heals, I think, like 33% more, something like that. Gotta double check how the math like works out. But obviously, it kind of like jumps up where the unmastered version is almost a half heal, and then the mastered version is over half. So this can be really good. And if you stack even more bonus healing, this gets way better. So if you got like Pliskin, items, stuff like that. Pliskin's the snake pet that increases healing received. Or given, whichever. But, okay, so with the curses, Weakening Curse and Vuln Hex, they do their normal effects. They have a higher chance of sticking. You get plus 10% res piercing. And then you have a chance of getting random good tokens on both of these. So these are just random positives. Really nice. And then Malediction does the same thing. I forgot. Plus you have the res piercing, so it's like guaranteed to stick everything. I would say this is his best path for a couple reasons. One, consistent healing, slightly more consistent, and then just Malediction being able to stick is... whoa. Really good path. Warlock, he just gets bonus range damage, so artillery, pull, and stars goes up. And he has a chance of generating unchecked power, and he loses some HP. It's an old, straightforward damage path, a lot like Alchemist, Ravager. So there's really no thought into it. You just, you know, try and get unchecked power through either Binding Shadows, Stack Stab combos, Chaotic Offering. You don't even have to use Chaotic Offering. You can spam like Binding Shadows with Warlock if you really wanted to. And then get your up and then just throw bombs. Aspirant, combat start, block plus, less chance of sticking debuffs, bonus max HP, and then all of his melee damage goes up. So these curses here, these have the minus chance of sticking, so it's like, that's all it is, you don't need to look at it. Sack Stab gets some extra damage. Binding Shadows gets some extra damage. Anamnesis gets some extra damage. Which is why this one's McStab, because that's a name I've always used for, you know, Occultist. That's funny. He has Aspirant because he rolled Precise Striker when I first got him. So. With all that said, Occultist has some pretty cool things. The curse buffs really helped him. The malediction change really helped him. None of his paths are bad. His Wanderer is serviceable, but is pretty much inferior to the other three. And, you know, he's fun. He's very flexible. A lot of the times, if a team loses a member, you can kind of just throw him in there and he'll kind of fix it reliably, I guess. So, with Occultist, I'm going to say he's A. I think he's a really good character now. He's not overpowered. He's not weak. He does his job pretty well. He still has his thematical risk with what he's doing. He's just fun. It's a very easy plug-and-play character, too. In part 3, because I've decided to make these into parts, otherwise it would be a 4-hour video, we'll talk about the rest of the characters in Bounty Hunter's S tier, so don't trip about that. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.